This is the absolute best apple pie with brown butter and salted caramel. Okay, so the holidays are here. You either get really excited about the holidays or you start freaking out. It doesn't have to be stressful. Thanksgiving is a really special holiday, so I've got recipes that are easy to follow along, but they're my absolute best version of whatever it is that I've made. So we're talking apple pie today. You only need to make two different things: the crust and the filling. We'll get to the filling later. So first of all, the crust. You have basically two elements: fat is my butter and flour, which is my flour. Now, into the flour, we're gonna add all the fat first, half the flour. First, we're gonna season both bowls of flour. So you just take the whole quantity, split it into two bowls, add a little sugar, and a little sugar, just do it evenly, and a little salt. And when I say a little salt, it's actually quite a bit. You're gonna be like, is that too much salt? You need salt in your crust, my friends. Just get a fork and just mix it. It's not that difficult. All you're doing is just combining those ingredients together. Next, we add half our flour, all our fat. So you've done those recipes before on pie crust, where you have to put it into a food processor and you've got to get those little pea-sized pieces of butter throughout. It's quite difficult to do. The only thing that you've got to get right is your temperature. What I mean is, look at my butter, watch this. Whoop. See how soft that is? Leave it sitting out of the fridge. Depends on the warmth of your home. Leave it out for a couple of hours. That's probably best. Just take it out of the fridge, dice it like I did, and then a medium-high setting. We're just gonna go ahead, lock it off, and combine those things. So start off nice and slow so the flour doesn't end up out of your bowl. You don't want that. Do not microwave your butter. I'll tell you why. Sometimes if you put butter in a microwave, it melts from the inside, right? So it can get liquidy. That's not what we want for our pie crust. You can turn it up, and you can actually do it on sort of a medium speed. And the butter will actually flick back out of the paddle. Oh yeah, that's the paddle attachment, forgot to tell you that. So let's have a little peek. So you want it to be well mixed. If you overwork the gluten in the flour, it becomes a little tough, right? So don't overmix it, that's what you have to remember. So the consistency you're looking for, my friends, is it kind of looks a bit like a cake frosting. I need half a cup of ice water. Now, why does it have to be ice? Because that's what actually cools down the butter and sets it into those tiny little pieces. The reason you want tiny pieces of butter through your pastry is because when it melts in the oven, steam gets released from the butter, right? So it actually puffs ever so slightly. It just makes it a little bit flaky. So just take some ice cold water, measure out half a cup. All we have to do is add the rest of the flour. We're just gonna add it bit by bit, okay? So just hold it like this, turn it on low. So see how I'm just gently incorporating that extra flour. Now, what's important is we turn it up a little bit and we just slowly add in that cold water. This is gonna bring it all together. Whoop! Okay, so this is where you've got to be kind of, you feel like you want to mix it, don't over mix it. Push that off your paddle, right? I'm just going to take that out. Look at that, that's it. You don't do anything more. Fat, flour, salt, sugar, ice cold water, 5 ingredients. It's so simple to do. Get that out of the bowl, just like that. Split that in half, and half of it's going to be for the top, and half of it's going to be for the bottom, because the base needs a little bit more than the top, but there's no measurement. You don't have to be too serious. If you get it perfectly in half, that's all right too. Grab some cling film, we're going to wrap it up and then let it rest. Some people like to refrigerate it. Actually, I find that just leaving it at room temperature, you leave that butter the right temperature and it's really easy to work with. We're going to add a little flour before we roll it, but not much. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. It's time to make the filling. So I've got some apples, and all you do is peel your apple. So I'm just going to go through, but you peel it like that. If you want to go around the bottom once, you can. Just like so. And then what you want to do is cut your apple into slices. All right, I've got a little hack for how you cut an apple. I cut the cheeks off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're left with a core, right? Obviously you chuck that away. Now they've got a nice even flat surface so it doesn't move around while you're cutting it, and it means you can slice through it way faster. Take all those sliced apples and just stick them back into a bowl. To turn this bowl of sliced apples into a delicious apple pie filling, it's actually very easy. you need some butter, some brown sugar, a little flour to bind it, and then some spice. I've got some ginger and some cinnamon. I've got some salt, always important, and then a little bit more acidity, so I've got some lemon. So one of the things that makes this apple pie the absolute best is the brown butter. All you do is get a hot pan, so I'm just going to go ahead, add the butter in. You'll hear it start sizzling. Don't stress, we're actually going to burn it. Why? Because what happens to butter when it gets brown is it gets super nutty, it gets really flavoursome. Just keep moving it on the bottom of the pan like I am. So I've got a little silicone spatula. So you just don't want it to stick. You want to let all of the fat solids or the butter solids actually caramelise and turn brown. See how we're starting to get that nice deep colour now? That's pretty good. You don't want to go too far because otherwise it'll get bitter. Okay. Ready? Pour it back into the same bowl and you'll stop that cooking process. If you leave it in the pan, it'll carry on cooking, right? Because the heat's still in the bottom of the pan and you'll end up with something that's going to be bitter and way too acidic. So we made our brown butter. We're going to keep that for later because that's what's going to like add a little something to the pie. But let's make the filling. So all you do now is add some butter to a pot. You need a large pot because it's going to fit all those apples. And then throw in your sugar. That's brown sugar, soft brown sugar. Toss in your flour. And you can add as many spices as you want into an apple pie. Some people put cloves, some people put just cinnamon, some people put ginger. I'm going to add a little salt, I always do. And then in terms of spice, I've got cinnamon and then ginger. Yes, it's got a nice sort of freshness and the cinnamon's got a real kind of nice warmth to it. Give it a little stir. And you'll see the butter and the flour all kind of mix. This is what actually stops the pie from being too runny because you don't want that filling to be too runny. So the flour is the binder, the sugar and the spice is the flavour, and the butter is a little bit of both those things. It sort of helps the flour turn into more of a paste. See how we've got that? You can't believe how good it smells in here right now. It smells so good. And then you add your apples. All the apples go in. Grab a lemon. If you want it to be nice and juicy, just give it a little roll first, right? Because when you roll it under your hand, see how it sort of just softens it up a little bit? That's kind of a cool little tip. Cut it in half and then squeeze. You can use a juicer, but I'm very strong. Toss your apples. It's going to almost look like the caramel that you did make just now with the flour and all that stuff. It's going to almost look like it's broken. That's good. That's what you want. You're going to cook this for about 5 minutes until your apple slices soften, and that's it. We let it cool down and we got our apple pie filling. Once your apples are soft, it's ready. See how mine got a little dark? Don't do that. That wasn't intentional. It will catch on the bottom if you leave it there, and I've got this cranked nice and high because you know me, I'm trying to go fast. But you don't really want to get colour on your apples, but who cares? It's not the end of the world. It's ready. You can actually take one out, have a look at it, and sort of cut it. You still want it to hold its texture and its shape, right? Because it's going to be baked in the oven for an hour after this. Have a taste. Oh yeah. Take your pan. Just go ahead and pour those into a bowl. We're going to let them cool. You can stick them in the fridge if you want them to be really quick, or you can just leave them sit out for half an hour, and they'll cool down on their own. But that's kind of the consistency you're looking for. That's the texture. They're kind of bendy, but not too bendy. All right, we're going to make something else that's going to take this to the next stratosphere. So in the very same pan, because I don't like doing the dishes, I'm going to make a caramel. Take your butter, go ahead and melt it with brown sugar. And you guessed it, a little salt. So salt in every stage, all the time. Salted caramel and apple pie are best friends, right? Takes it to a whole nother place. That and the brown butter, oh my gosh. You'll see that sugar starts to crystallize, gets really quite nice and dark. Soft brown sugar, a little salt, some butter, and some cream. By the way, you can use this over ice cream. You can use this to be the source of any dessert, a tarte tatin or a tart or a cake. It's just so delicious and really, really easy to make. All right, next, a little bit of cream. You'll hear it bubble and go crazy. There's a party in the pan. Stir it. Salted caramel facial. Now there's a business idea. So you see how that cream brings it all together and turns it into like something that almost looked like it was separated into a beautiful even sauce, right? You can turn your temperature down because you don't want to cook it too hard. That, my friends, is a gorgeous salted caramel sauce if you want to pour it over ice cream or another dessert, but it's going into our apple pie. Brown butter, salted caramel. So once that's done, all you need to do is pick it up and pour it out of the pan. I'm just going to pour it into this little bowl here. Is my bowl big enough? Just. Caramel gets really, really hot because of the sugar. It can get above boiling point, right? So if you dip your finger in there, you're going to burn yourself. So don't be like me, don't be greedy. Just control yourself, let it cool down, and then taste it. We made our crust, we made our filling, now we just got to put it together. It's really, really easy. First, roll up your sleeves. Grab the bigger of the two pieces. If they're exactly the same, it doesn't matter, just grab it either one. But just take your crust out of the plastic wrap. It's had a little minute to chill, well, half an hour or so. And what we're going to do is take a little flour. You don't overuse the flour. Now I'm just rolling this out on a silicone sheet, but you don't have to. You can just do it straight on your countertop. Just make sure it's clean. Just a wee flour over the top, right? Then you can just sort of push that down with your hand, turn it, make sure that it's not too sticky and it's not too dry. So you want to use minimal flour. The less flour, the better, to be perfectly honest. But I do always flour my pin, my rolling pin. Look at this for a rolling pin. I've actually given it a little home base. So if you want a rolling pin that doesn't roll everywhere, you can get one of mine. All you do when you're rolling is just kind of, I like to roll in one direction, then you just turn your crust, right? You don't have to do this. You can roll in multiple directions. And what I mean is you can go like this and like that. I just like to roll in one way, because that way you always get in the same kind of round shape, which is round what we're going for. You can always sort of rework it and push it sort of back together. You can turn it, that's absolutely fine. And then again, you roll it. The only thing that you want to do when you're working with any kind of crust or dough is work pretty fast, because if it does start to get too warm, it'll get a little harder to work with. Now, how thick your crust is totally up to you, right? Some people like a lot of crust. The more crust, the easier it is to work with, but some people don't like too much. I'm sort of in the middle. I like the crust, but I also like the filling. Now, one mistake people make is they don't roll their pie crust big enough. So you take a pan, you stick it over the top like that, right? And you're like, oh, that's plenty big enough. And then you go ahead and cut it out. No. Because what's gonna happen is when you actually fill it, you've got the sides to think about. So if you think the side's kind of that big, you need to go about that far past the outside of the pan, right? And you want a little bit of extra lip because you're gonna connect it to the top. Now, if you want to pick this up and put it into the pan, I've got a little trick for you, right? So what we're going to do is just use your pin. Make sure that you've either sprayed this or rubbed it with just a tiny bit of butter. This is a great non-stick pan, so nothing sticks to it. Just rolling the dough back over my pin gently, just like that. And then you slide in your pan, lift this up, and you kind of just slowly unroll it. Right, so that way you didn't have to pick your crust up and drop it onto the pie plate. And see what I'm doing now, I just lift up the sides and let it sort of fall in. Pick it up, let it fall down. You can even push down on it slightly so that your walls are just as thick as your base. Real gently, we're going to actually use this to attach to the top of the pie. And then just make sure you can actually, little trick is to take an extra piece of dough. So if you've got just a little bit extra like this, you can use that little ball and you can kind of push that into the corner, and that way you're going to get a real nice edge to the pie. because sometimes your pie will have a tendency to not get right down into the corners. So this way you're just forcing it in, making sure there's no little air bubbles. I'm going to go ahead, layer up my pie. So this is my filling. Most people just say, there's my apple filling, they plonk it in, right? But we made salted caramel and brown butter. These two things take this pie to a whole nother level. Start with the apples, and you're just gonna slowly take your time. Just put a thin layer of apples on the bottom. So just sort of push those into the edge. Take a little bit of that brown butter that we made, so it's gone into the fridge and it's kind of solidified like butter does. So just break little chunks of that up, just like this, and just kind of push that all the way around in different spots. Grab some of that salted caramel, oh man, and just put some drizzle on the apples. Now, if there's someone you really like, you should send them this recipe, because I tell you what, they're gonna love you for it. It's one of those ones that you will bake every single year. It'll totally improve your Thanksgiving or whatever holiday you make an apple pie for. All right, so you load that up, come back, more brown butter, salted caramel. Yes, yes, yes. Last bit of apple. Now you can pile this high, right? And I like my pie to have a little bit of, because it will sink while it bakes. And last, the brown butter. So don't skip this layering process. I know you're like, is it really necessary? Can't I just dump it all in? Yeah, you can. But if you do layer it up like this, you end up getting really lovely texture and flavor, and those layers of flavor really make a difference. So it only takes a couple more minutes to layer it like I am. If you leave your pie mounded with apples in the middle, you'll end up with a pie that looks like that. If you want it more flat, then flatten it out. It's totally up to you. I kind of like something in the middle, so I'll just sort of push that down because I want it to get all the way down into the edges. Last bit of salted caramel. Our pie's filled, it just needs a lid. I'm just gonna keep it real simple for you. So again, take that pie crust out, little bit of flour underneath, little on your hands, little on the pin. Just get flour everywhere basically. So you can start like this, turn it. Now, unlike the first time we did this, where we needed to leave sides for the walls, we no longer have to do that, right? Because we're only getting this as big as the actual pie itself. But you want the thickness of the sides to be no thicker or thinner than the top. So still roll it out to about the same thickness. You can always cut this to the shape and size that you need. So, okay, I'm happy. What you can do is grab a knife and you can kind of just round it off ever so slightly. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it won't be, so don't even try and make it perfect. Before we put it on top, you want to make sure that you've got a little egg wash. So just grab an egg. You can just get a fork or a little whisk and just mix that. And then what you're going to do is come along here. If you want to be pedantic and like take it like all the way, you can get yourself a pair of scissors. You can go ahead and you can sort of just trim some of this overhang. Don't use the scissors from the garden, just use the scissors for the kitchen. Brush just the edge of your pie crust with a little of that egg wash. That's just going to make it sticky. And then you pick up your pie crust, top, and then we just, same as earlier, roll that over just like that. The next step is we're going to actually fuse the bottom and the top together, right? So see how I'm just turning that into one. You sort of come on in here and trim it So you snip all that off, and you just make sure that you're pinching this together. I kind of like to poke it up right now. And then the simplest design is using a finger and your thumb and pointer finger on the other hand. So you just pull it up like that and you push it in like that. And then you turn. Same deal. Pull and push. Real easy. Just push one finger in between the others, just like that. If you want to lay it down a little, you can. If it's a bit inconsistent, I think it's kind of nice. It shows it's a homemade pie. You can buy it from the store. The last thing that's really important is you got to let the steam that's going to accumulate in the pie out while it's baking. So just cut just a little cross into the center of the pie, and that'll let the steam escape, and the pie will actually, all the steam will sort of run to that point. Then you brush it with that egg wash. Once you've got that egg wash kind of all over the top of the pie, the only other thing that I use to decorate it is a little bit of sugar. So I use demerara sugar, which is that sort of coarse, dark brown sugar. It's fancy sugar. You can use any sugar, truly, but I just sprinkle it over the top. It's so pretty. It goes in the oven, it bakes for about 40-45 minutes. It's really, really simple. Once it's perfectly golden on top, you're gonna take it out, let it cool down a little bit, serve it for like 45 minutes to an hour at about 375 degrees. Keep your eye on it. It's been 50 minutes. Let's have a little peek. I checked it just a minute ago and it was already looking pretty sexy. Oh man. Oh yeah. So you know it's not stuck to the bottom when you can do this. Woohoo! Listen, you want to show up to the holidays with something that's kind of impressive. This is your guy. If you cut into it the second it comes out of the oven, the apples are going to be super active, right? It's going to be really moist and juicy in there, which makes it a little hard to cut nice slices. I don't care. I just want the pie nice and hot onto my plate. So I'm going to cut it. It's not going to look like a magazine, but at the end of the day, it's going to taste absolutely sensational. I cut it right on in that pie dish, and I'm going to cut myself a nice generous wedge because I really like apple pie. The crust should be really nice and delicate. Oh, mama. Look at that. So that age-old question, do you serve apple pie with ice cream? Of course you do! So I start with a little cream, and then you just get a beautiful big old scoop. You ready for this? Oh yeah. Salted caramel, that beautiful brown butter, and if you don't mind, happy holidays everyone. And thanks for watching. Now I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you want more, because I've got plenty to give you. All you have to do is subscribe.